Before this video begins, I'd just like to give an extra special thank you to my patron, the Beast Boss. Links to join the Patreon can be found in the description down below. Okay, so now we're pretty much onto what's leading into the main topic of Doctor Who Season 3 updates, with the latest letter from the showrunner segment of Doctor Who magazine. I haven't personally bought this issue myself, so I am kind of basing these points off of parts from Davies' video covering this new issue of the magazine, but I am just going to be talking about the letter from the showrunner segment. So if there's any other interesting things from Doctor Who magazine that you want to read from this issue, go out and buy the magazine yourself if it's still available near you. But Russell T Davies is basically going episode by episode for Doctor Who Season 2 in this issue and talking about how complete the different episodes are and giving us some hints towards the episodes themselves and going through like the various stages of production that they are currently in. So starting with episode 201, which is the first episode of Doctor Who Season 2, Russell says, "This is 80% ready. I've just changed the title and it's the most wonderful showcase for Varada Sethu, as Belinda Chandra arrives in the Doctor's world with a massive slam, plus some of the most beautiful effects I've ever seen. As Phil says," and I'm assuming that's Phil Collinson, "we keep learning how to make this show, and this is one that really shows that off." So that's obviously for the first episode of Doctor Who Season 2, and it seems to be alluding to the fact that this is obviously going to be the episode where we're introduced to Belinda Chandra, the new companion. Whether or not Ruby is going to be in this episode, I'm not entirely sure. I personally think it's going to be more likely that she's going to show up halfway through the season, and we're going to be spending most of the season with the new companion, Belinda Chandra, played by Varada Sethu, and this seems like it's going to be a standard companion introduction episode for that character. For episode 202, Russell says, "I'd say 70% ready, though the effects vendors might say we have mountains to climb, and they're producing effects that the show has never tried before. Enormous fun and weird chills, with a lovely guest star as poor old Reginald Pye." So this is the second episode of Doctor Who Season 2, and it seems like it's going to be very VFX heavy for this episode, and they're going to be trying something quite experimental for the effects. Obviously, I'm not really sure what that's going to be, but he said it's something that they've not really done before, so it's going to be quite an experimental episode, at least in terms of what the VFX are doing. So we might have quite an experimental monster or something like that. And we know there's going to be another character in this called Reginald Pye. I believe that's the character's name and not an actor, but I could be wrong there. If I am wrong, let me know in the comments down below, but I believe he's hinting that they're going to have a lovely guest star, but they're not saying who that is, and that's just the character's name. For episode 203, Russell says, "Brr, I'm just saying, brr, scary." So he doesn't give too much details away for this episode. He's just hinting that it's going to be quite a scary one. I don't know if the brr that he's saying is because it's going to be scary or because it's going to be cold and scary. To me, that indicates it's going to be cold or set in some cold environment, but it could just be because he's kind of saying that it's going to be a scary episode, and that's kind of all it means. But he's keeping it very vague with this one, so it's going to be an exciting one to see, I think that. And I'm personally assuming this is going to be one that's maybe not written by Russell, but it's possible that it is. But we do know he's going to be writing less episodes this season. I believe we know he's only writing 4 episodes this season. Obviously, I think episode 1 is a safe bet. He could be doing episode 2 as well. I think that's fairly standard for him to do. So this could be the first one written by somebody else in this season. Okay, for episode 204, Russell says, "This was one of the first to be shot along with 201, so episode 1. So I'd say it's 95% ready, though none of these have a music score yet. So Maury would say this stands at 0.7%. A brand new slant on a Doctor Who story. I'm very excited for this to be seen." So it sounds like this is going to be another quite experimental episode, probably written by Russell again. So to me, this is definitely giving this season's kind of 73 yards vibe. I think episode 4 seems to be kind of reserved for these more experimental episodes that Russell has written, and it seems like that's going to be a little bit of a theme for this era. And if you know me and you've seen my reviews for Doctor Who Season 1, you'll know that 73 yards was one of my favourite episodes of that season, so I'm excited to see something more experimental in this point of the season again. For episode 205, Russell says, "About 70% ready. I had the great delight the other day of sitting on Zoom, screen sharing a sequence from this, and then saying to the writer, 'Can you believe you wrote that?' And oh boy, they were grinning, grinning, grinning." So this is one we definitely know is not going to be written by Russell T Davies. I'm hoping it's a brand new writer that we've not seen before, or at least somebody that wasn't writing in season 1. Although with that being said, I did like the brand new guest writers for Rogue in season 1, so I wouldn't mind if they returned for one of these episodes. But we at least have confirmation for this particular episode that it's going to be one of those not written by Russell this time, which is nice to know and going to be exciting to see when those writers get announced, who they are. For episode 206, Russell says, "We've already had a massive shoot and tons of edits and VFX, and yet I suspect this is about 8% ready. What an epic. We might finish it by, 2029. But wait till you see Sabine and Cora and Kid and, spoilers." So once again, it seems like this may be one of the very VFX heavy episodes again of this season, or maybe it's just that it was that late into the production that they filmed this one that it's not that ready yet, because he's joking about it not being ready until 2029. He's obviously hinted at some characters there, which we obviously can't get too much based on just their names, and he's even missed out one of the characters, intentionally not mentioned them because of spoilers, or maybe it's not a character and it's meant to be something that happened in the episode, but I'm assuming it's a character that he doesn't want us to know about. So whether that's a returning character or something, I'm not entirely sure. I'd assume it maybe would be, because if it's a brand new character, we're probably not really gonna know like who it is. Obviously he says spoilers there, which could be alluding to the fact that it could be River Song, but obviously spoilers doesn't necessarily mean River Song, so I don't think that's necessarily a nod to that, but I do feel like we're probably going to have some sort of returning character in this, or maybe it's some sort of returning monster or villain. Maybe we're finally going to get another Daleks episode and the Daleks are going to be in this one. Let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. For episode 207, Russell says, "First of a two-part finale. Still at an early stage, it's only just had the edit signed off and locked. Lots of work to come with a brilliant guest star and revelations galore, but this is an epic." So obviously we've now got confirmation again that we're going to have, of course, another two-part finale, which isn't that surprising. That tends to be a bit of a theme, even with the 8-episode count, because obviously we had that for season 1 as well. There's no surprises here that there's going to be some revelations and guest stars in this episode. We might return to Unit again or something like that. But yeah, this is the first part of the two-part finale, and it's still at quite an early stage in production, or I guess post-production I should say, because we know it's finished filming. For episode 208, Russell says, "And this is an epic continued. This edit is still wide open, we're still finessing key sequences, but it's all been planned, we have time to spare." And he goes on to say, "So that's 8 episodes, plus Christmas, plus 5 The War Between, so we're at work on 14 episodes, just like the old days." And beyond that, he then teases a secret project where he just says, "Oh, you'll see." So this could be another spin-off that they're trying to commission, or for me personally, I think my bet's on maybe another episode of Tales of the TARDIS. Maybe we're going to get some sort of returning villain in the finale, and they've done another Tales of the TARDIS for it, like they did with Pyramids of Mars for Sutekh in the finale. I think that's the most likely option there, but let me know what you think that secret project is in the comments down below. And then he finishes off this segment hinting at future scripts, saying, "There's tons of them sitting there, 3 different writers, 1 script already on draft 6. I'll work with them for a few more weeks, and then we'll park them until needed, because the decision to commission season 3 won't be made until after season 2 has transmitted, and that's always been the deal since the start. Hey, we might even have a day off, although maybe not, with the War Between to complete and the rest of season 2 to hammer into shape." So besides a couple of little bits that I've decided to omit from this, that's all the information we got from the letter from the showrunner segment of this month's issue of Doctor Who magazine, mostly talking about season 2, but there's also a few hints at season 3 in there, some secret projects, and some more hints at the brand new spin-off, The War Between the Land and the Sea, that should be coming next year. But that last bit about Doctor Who season 3 nicely leads us into the next segment of this episode. So this has had a lot of people worried that obviously season 3 is a little bit up in the air at the moment as to whether it's actually going to happen and when it's going to happen, if it's going to be delayed. Because like I've mentioned in the past,